right, so let's get this thing started. Tonight we're going to be going over step 6, step 7, steps 8, and 9. So, yeah, we're going to go full throttle tonight, all right? So you're going to have to buckle up for this one. So we're going to be on the top of page 76 is where we're going to start. I actually want to back it up to the bottom of 75, and I'll tell you why in a second. Now, when you look at step 6 and 7, you know, first let's back it up to 4 and 5. When we look at 4 and 5, and you know, you got to have some courage, it's the principle in order to work an honest and thorough 4, and then, you know, some integrity when it comes to step 5, and, you know, everybody has fear over the 4th and the 5th step, and you got to power through it. It says a vigorous, you know, effort with energy, intensity, and force, a strenuous effort to face and to rid ourselves of the things which have been blocking us. So once we get through 4 and 5, then we can start to move forward, and that's what 6, 7, 8, 9 really starts to look like. They're real easy. 6 and 7 are easily overlooked. 6 is one paragraph and 7 is a prayer. So you can sit down with your sponsor, depending on what type of sponsor he is, you know, and you can read 6, read 7, read 8 and 9, and you're making amends in 2 hours. You know, all of a sudden you're on 9. But it's important to understand like what step 6 is all about, what that prayer, because 7 comes after 6 for a reason. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into 8 and 9 tonight. I'll end this this meeting with a 5-step amends process that kind of gives you an idea of how to make a proper amends, which makes it different than the 3 million times you've previously done it. You know, the only program that I ever worked previous to actually working a program this time was I worked step 1 and I worked step 9. I can't lie my way out of this shit anymore. I'm powerless and unmanageable. It's a wrap, dude. The gig's up. I'm sorry, right? Straight to 9. straight to 9, and I repeat the behavior within 20 minutes. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm never gonna do that again. And I'm stealing money out of his wallet again. It's quicker than 2 jiggles of a jackrabbit's ass. I got his wallet. And it gets so extravagant. I got to set off the car alarm so he goes out front just to get to the wallet. Right? You know, that's, I gotta have diversions, flashbangs, and some more. You know, yeah, it has this disease, and so I say that to say the reason why step 6 is so important, these character defects, and removing the objectionable and shaking these things. The reason they're so hard to do is because we have such a deep attachment to them. Because for a long time, dishonesty had a lot of value to me. And I mean, I'm a telemarketer from way back, dude. So lie, cheat, manipulate, steal, I mean, that's part of the game. All right? That's another meeting, dude. Another time, another meeting, brother. Don't do that, dude. You do not want to find yourself in the telemarketing office, brother. Shout out to all the telemarketers. But let's start on the bottom of 75, okay? So this is actually the end of step 5, and the reason why we're going to talk about this because the very first line of step 6 is if we can answer to our satisfaction. So what we're answering to our satisfaction is this bottom part right here. So after we work a 5, in order to truly move on from 6 to 6, we got to meet some requirements, and these are the requirements right here. Returning home, we find a place where we can be quiet for an hour, carefully reviewing what we have done. We thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know Him better. Taking this book down from our shelf, we turn to the page which, and I always think when take it down from the shelf, that thing should be off the shelf. You know, like you just put it up there and come back to it later.
Who has a shelf?
Yeah, I was just wondering. I always think that every time I read it. You better have this thing out. This is your life preserver. You better be carrying this with you everywhere you go. Put it on the shelf. All right. Carefully reading the first 5 proposals. The first 5 proposals, what they're talking about are the first 5 steps. We ask if we've omitted anything, for we're building an arch through which we shall walk a free man. Is our work solid so far? Are the stones properly in place? Have we skimped in the cement put in the foundation? Have we tried to make mortar without sand? So before we can move on to step 6, we need to go back through everything that we've done and make sure that we haven't skimped on the cement. We haven't tried to make mortar without sand. Right? Man, I'm creating this foundation for my future, and in order to do that, I want it to be solid because 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, spiritual experiences, the promises, the blessings that rain down on you allow you to build a house on that foundation, right? But if there's some cracks in it, just like it talked about in step 5, having persevered the rest of the program, they wondered why they fell. They never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. So there's that crack in that foundation. I might build a house on it, but eventually that crack will spread and it will fall again. And I'll be back to where I was, right? Running around with Circle K feet, taking showers in QT bathroom. You know what I mean?
Nice bathroom.
There's a lot of going on over here, brother. Hey, you're in the right place, bro. Hey, you belong. You earned that. that chair. Don't ever forget that. So we got to make sure, did I leave anything out of step 1, powerless and unmanageability? Do I want to add any extra experiences into, did I fully concede to my innermost self that I'm an alcoholic? Go back to step 2, look at we agnostics, look at your belief in a higher power, look at the spiritual characteristics that you've identified, some morals, some values. You know, what's the evolution of your spirituality? It doesn't have to evolve. Usually it does, but it doesn't. What are the spiritual characteristics you're really, trying to live by? Go back and do the 3rd step prayer. Surrender again. Make that decision to turn your will in your life. Your thoughts is your will, your life is your actions. Right? So reaffirm that decision. Then go back through all the parts of 4, resentments and fears and the sex inventory and relationships. Look at that. And then ultimately, man, did you leave anything out of 5? So if you can go back through all that, that's what that paragraph's for. Then we can go to 76 at the top where it says, if we can answer to our satisfaction, let's look at step 6. So if I can say, yep, man, this is as thorough and honest as I could possibly be. I'm not leaving anything out. I'm ready to roll. Then we move on to step 6. Step 6, we've emphasized willingness as being indispensable. Are we now ready to let God remove from us all the things which we've admitted are objectionable? Can He take them all, every one? If we still cling to something, we will not let go. We ask God to help us to be willing. It's a paragraph, right? I love asking people. They're like, oh, you did your steps? What's step 6 mean? And I just want to know what they're going to say. It's a paragraph, right? So what we're looking at in step 6 is everything that we've admitted objectionable in 4, it comes all from 4 and 5. What I'm saying is it's not going to hold power over me anymore. I'm removing that negative attachment from the past. I'm going to create a new identity in 6, and I'm going to reaffirm my 3rd step decision with step 7, practice some humility because I ain't done nothing yet, right? And that's going to give me the ability to move forward. And again, the character defects are hard to shake because they had value for so long. Dude, for so long. They work until they don't work anymore. But the lying, the cheating, the manipulation, right, the dishonesty, everything that comes with our alcoholic mentality, those character defects, those are assets to addiction, right? I don't know how many of you guys were out there running the streets being honest, right? being committed and active and loving and tolerant and forgiving and understanding, right? Like, that's just not how we live in addiction, right? So they're hard to shake. So what I'm saying is I'm going to move forward at this point, release that attachment, and be willing to let go of these things, right? And we're going to channel a higher power for strength, just like we've done from step 2 and 3 and on, that gave us the ability to really look at 4 and 5, right? So I'm saying, look, I got some work to do. So what I would ask you to do if I was working with you for step 6, the actual homework that I would do is we create your identity of who you are right now, right here, right now in this moment. So you make a list of the character assets that you possess and the character defects that you possess, right? The first thing that's most important is to appreciate the hell out of the fact that you got character assets again in your life, right? Because when I walked into these rooms, I couldn't name an asset to my name, dude. I was nothing but character defects, broken, crawled into these meetings. Right? I was on the yard, in prison yard, dude, when I got sober. And dude, I've been in prison for 3 years at this point, going on 4, and I didn't have shit. I had a property box and 1 earbud. For real. Because I came out of the hole, I tried to pop a socket with the earbuds and shit like I'm an electrician. You know what I mean? I didn't get a light. Shoot the wick. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. You got some whole time, player. Shoot the line. Pull it in, pull it in. So first we're going to appreciate the fact that we actually have some assets again. That's a huge win. We've been too hard on ourselves for too long. So let's look at that, appreciate that. But the most important thing is look at these character defects that we need to work on. So list all the character defects, and you will find that, sure, you're being honest, but you're still dishonest at times. It's okay to have the opposite on each side. That's okay. We're creating awareness through working the steps. When we're aware, we're responsible, right? So list out all your character defects, and then right next to each character defect, the opposite, so you know how to correct it, right? And then pick 2 this week on the top of your list and correct them. The consistency, we'll change those in the assets. You'll see your identity, right? Increase with assets, and as you change them, then the defects decrease, right? So now we're becoming better versions of ourselves, right? So create your identity in 6. Be willing to remove the objectionable. We're not going to let 4 and 5 hold us back anymore, and we're going to be willing to continue to move forward with this thing. Okay, so that's step 6. Create your identity in 6. So when you get to step 7, which is right under that, we got the 7-step prayer. When ready, we said something like this: My Creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows, Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. And if you notice, the third step doesn't have an amen at the end of it. The seventh step has an amen at the end of it. In my opinion, I guess you would say that I think it's the continuation of the third step prayer, right? So when you look at that where it says, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. Now you know what you're giving all of him, right? Good and bad, because you just identified it in step 6, right? You've appreciated the good. You've identified the bad really from 4 or 5 all the way through. You've seen all that. You know, the third or fourth column of the resentments, you'll see all your bad in there, your part in everything you do, lie, cheat, manipulate, steal, right? There it is again, right? You look at the fears in the middle column and the self-sufficiency. There's all my character defects again. Then I'll look at all my relationships and see the part that I play and the harms that I cause, and there they are again, right? So we've seen them, we've identified them, right? Now we're identifying them and correcting them in 6 by putting the asset next to it, and then ultimately we're channeling our higher power for strength. The principle of the 7th step is humility, right? Because I ain't done nothing yet. I got to remain humble. The easiest way I could describe humility, because it's a tricky word to define or to describe. The easiest way that I can do for me is to be teachable and to be coachable at all times. And be willing to ask for help and be willing to admit that I don't have it all figured out. And I don't, right? And like I come in here and I want you guys to understand that, dude, I'm human, dude. I do stupid shit all the time, dude. But what I figured out how to do is how I experience my higher power working in my life through prayer, through meditation, through physical fitness, through music, through sports, through meaningful relationships, through being present, through service work, right? Service commitments, being here for you guys. So I've identified that. So what I do is I schedule my day with as much of that in there as possible. So it only gives me a couple hours a day to act stupid, right? Because what you got in that cup, brother? Yeah, all right. But that's the point though, right? Like, let's structure our day around getting a positive result. I'm going to take L's on a day. I'll take a couple L's, but I'm going to win more than I lose, right? The sum of my actions on a day-to-day basis has to represent the man that I want to be. So when I look myself in the mirror at the end of the night, when I brush my teeth, I like what I see. When I like what I see, I don't want to change the way I feel, right? So that's step 6 and 7. So again, there are 2 paragraphs, right? You can breeze right through that, boom, you're on 8 and 9. So now we understand 6 is creating your identity, 7 is continue to reaffirm your 3rd step decision, knowing you got more work to do, using your higher power for strength to turn those defects into assets to become the best versions of yourself. And my favorite line in the whole entire book comes from the doctor's opinion. It says, I see him now and then, he's as fine a specimen of manhood as one could ever wish to meet. Let me tell you something, man. If someone was to be like, oh, Jason, oh, I know him. The finest specimen of manhood as one could ever wish to meet. Dude, that sounds pretty damn good. In my opinion, that's God. I'm not there, you know, but I'm a hell of a lot better than I was 4.5 years ago, right? So now we're going to look at 8 and 9. So 8 and 9, it's going to break it down into a couple different kind of categories. It's going to talk about financial amends. It's going to talk about criminal offenses. It's going to talk about how to handle amends with our girls, our significant other. It's going to talk about the family, and then ultimately we're going to end with a 5-step amends process that's easy, that's simple, that makes it different than the 3 million times you previously said I'm sorry. Okay, there's no sorry involved in it at all, one bit. Okay, so let's look at 8 and 9. Now we need more action, without which we find that faith without works is dead. Let's look at steps 8 and 9. We've listed all persons we have harmed and to whom we're willing to make amends. We made it when we took inventory. So when we did 4 and 5, our personal inventory, then I'd say like 90%, 95% of the names are already going to be identified in 4 and 5. But there's going to be some other ones, and maybe you're going to list some, Walmarts and Targets and shit like that, right? That might not, you might not have a resentment. You might have a resentment towards asset protection at Walmart, right? Because he beats your ass coming out that front door, 130 pounds, clucking like a chicken, dude, trying to carry a 64-inch out the door. You ever done that, brother? Yeah, you've done that. You didn't even slide the sensors at the corner to pull it off, right? You just took it straight out the door, huh?
I was laser back there.
Yeah. I got time for this. Dope man said I got 5 minutes. Shit, I'm on my way.
I see my ride starting to beep already.
Yeah. Oh, I got to go. So we made it when we took inventory. We subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. Now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We attempt to sweep away the debris which is accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. Remember, it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. So became willing to make amends to them all. I am willing to make amends to them all. Remember, the principle associated with step 9, the actual amends process, making the amends, is discipline. Because I got to be disciplined to make these amends. I've harmed pretty much every single person I ever came in contact with. I owe a lot of amends. I don't know where a majority of them are, right? So what I will do is when I see them, I will make those amends.
Question. For Kyler Addict, for when you're doing your step, it's not a complete 9-step just because you've done every amends, right? It's just being...
Yeah, there's no... Listen, brother, you don't get a certificate when you go to step 12, bro.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so it's going to be... So every step gives you a tool that allows you to continue to handle life, right? So now I know how to make amends because I'm human and I'll harm somebody again, and so I clean it up right away. Because what we're doing is we're sweeping away the debris which is accumulated out of our effort to run the show ourselves. So the whole point is to clean the debris, and if we create more, which we will, we clean it up immediately. I can't see any debris behind. I can't see that old me anymore. But I'm human. I clean it up and I keep on going. I handle it in a healthy way. Every step gives you a tool. I know how to handle resentments. I know how to handle fears. I know what relationships look like. I know how important it is to be honest and live with integrity in 5. I understand my identity and how to become a better version. I know how to make a proper amends in 9. Right? Awareness in 10, awareness of God in 11. Right? So it just keeps us continuing because it says at the very end of Vision for You, trudge the road of happy destiny. It doesn't say float your happy ass along the way, right? we gotta dig in, right? Okay. So probably there's still some misgivings as we look over the list of business acquaintance friends we have hurt. We may feel different about going to some of them on a spiritual basis. Let us be reassured, to some people we need not and probably should not emphasize the spiritual feature on the first approach. We might prejudice them. At this moment, we're trying to put our lives in order. The amends process, we always have this misconception that it's for everybody else, right? The amends process is to get my life back, own my shit. Of course, I want mom and dad and my wife and everyone to forgive me and love me and welcome me back in and watch my actions over a period of time and trust me again. Sure, but I'm there to clean my shit up, man. I'm there to own it, take the power out of it, and own my part in it, right? I'm there to put my life in order. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be a maximum service to God and the people about us. It's seldom wise to approach an individual who still smarts from our injustice and announce we've gone religious. In the prize ring, this would be called leading with the chin. Why lay ourselves open to be branded fanatics or religious bores? We may kill a future opportunity to carry a beneficial message, but our man is sure to be impressed with our demonstration of but our man is sure to be impressed with a sincere desire to set the right wrong. He's going to be more interested in demonstration of goodwill than in our talk of spiritual discoveries. So what they're saying is, like, if I go to make an amends and I ask if I could speak to you and gain consent, which we'll talk about at the very end, and you're like, yeah, we can talk, I'll meet you up over here, and I come up to you, I'm like, God has entered into my heart, performed this miracle, dude, he's here, this internal connection to God, it flows through me, this power, right? You're going to be like, what the fuck? But that's the truth, that's what happened, right? That's what happened, right? But you're going to be like, what the fuck? Depending on who you're making the amends with, dude, he might slide your ass. You know what I mean? You don't know, bro, right? We're not sure. But that's not the point. Our demonstration of goodwill, just owning our issues, speaking them, verbalizing them, that's what makes it different. But it also says next, we don't use this as an excuse to shy away from the subject of God, because that's what happened, right? Because the main object of this book is enable you to find a power greater in yourself which will solve your problem. That means, of course, we're going to have to talk about God, right? Your own conception of God. We went over that in step 2. When it will serve any good purpose, we are willing to announce our convictions with tact and common sense. The question of how to approach the man we hated will arise, and maybe he has done us more harm than we have done him. Though we may have acquired a better attitude toward him, we're still not too keen about admitting our faults. Nevertheless, with a person we like, we take the bit in our teeth. It's harder to go to an enemy than a friend, but we find it much more beneficial to us. The easy ones are the easy ones, but the ones we don't want to do, those are the most beneficial ones, right? So just get them done, dude. Put those at the top of the list and get them done first. Just knock those things out. You know, when I was in prison, right, and I had a bunch of amends to make, obviously, and I owe some amends to some visitation cops, right? You know, I lost my visits because my girl couldn't keep her hands off of me. You know, I found push-ups and shit. You know, it was the other way around, but I like to tell it that way. And so I did some crazy shit in visitation, right? And I owed some amends for that, dude. And I didn't really want to make amends to some cops on the yard, right? I did not want to do it. My sponsor, and he's like, hey, dude, every time he'd ask me, he'd be like, did you make that amends? First couple times, naturally, I lied to him. I'm like, yeah. He's like, how'd it go? I'm like, I didn't make him. You know what I mean? And finally one day he's like, hey, because he lived, I was at Florence North Union, there's the yard 2 across the street, he lived over there. He follows me to the gate. I'm like, all right, homie, I'll see you tomorrow. He's like, no, we're going to make those amends right now together. I'm like, oh shit, all right, let's do it, right? So we go, I make these amends, did not want to do it, right? The very next day, my brother, I was on non-contact visits behind the glass. So they're on Fridays between 10 to 12. You know about those? Yeah, you know about those non-contacts, brother. Yeah. Oh, we got a good group in here right now. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, you know, non-contacts. Yeah, and you know, I had my brother finally start answering the phone again, man. I had to make an amends to him that very next day. It was coming for non-contact. I made the amends the previous day to visitation, so I go in there for 10 o'clock, right? And you know, I already know where to go. I've been on non-contact multiple times, right? So I burned to the left, you know? And the cops are like, nah, and Sarah, we gave you your visits back early. We respected that amends. We called your brother. We're going to give you a whole day out here by yourself. We called him. He's got them quarters. You know, we need them quarters, that $40. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got to get that rip and dip. Who knows about the rip and dips? Oh, you guys are my people. Right? And so that's the miracle of it, dude, right? So I made that amends. The one I didn't want to do was beneficial. Then I got to spend a whole day and reconnect with my brother and make an amends to him and soak in that moment, right? And that's what it's all about. Okay. So under no condition do we criticize such a person or argue. Simply we tell them we will never get over our drinking until we've done the utmost to straighten out our past. We're there to sweep off our side of the street, realizing that nothing worthwhile can be accomplished until we do so. Never trying to tell him what he should do. His faults are not discussed. We stick to our own. If our manner is calm, frank, and open, we will be gratified with the results. In 9 cases out of 10, the unexpected happens. Sometimes the man we are calling upon admits his own faults. So feuds of years stand melted away in an hour. Rarely do we fail to make satisfactory progress. Our former enemies sometimes praise what we're doing, wish us well. Occasionally they'll offer assistance. It should not matter, however, if someone does throw us out of his office. We have made our demonstration, done our part, it's water over the dam. So there's a couple things in there, right? When we go to make amends to family or whoever we owe an amends to, I can't own my shit and be like, but you, where's my amends at? But see, what about you? You're not gonna own that shit? It don't work that way, dude. We cannot do that, right? Especially with anyone, but especially mom and dad. Right? You call her on the phone over here. Hey, mom, what's up? Yeah, I'm still here. I got a sponsor. Yeah, everything's going good. Can you bring me a pack of cigarettes? Yeah, I'm doing good though. I'm working the steps, and we start talking different. We start sounding different. Mom starts coming. We start looking better. We stop asking for cigarettes. Everything's going good. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. They're all hopeful. It says 10 or 20 years of drunkenness would make a skeptic out of anyone. You're still here. You look better. You sound better. You're doing better, right? But in the back of their mind, they're like, "Damn, I hope this is his time." Shit, I'm real sick of this shit, right? I'm real sick of bringing cigarettes over there, dude. Right? So they're hopeful, dude. So when we get to this part and we tell them we're working a program, we get to 9 and you make these amends, and then you're like, well, what's up, mom? You gonna make your amends, right? Because you know you done fucked up, right? It don't work that way, dude. We're just there for our own shit. That's it. Bottom line, dude. We own our part, but 9 times out of 10, the unexpected happens. The part where it says it doesn't matter if they throw us out of our office, the ones that you see or you call, you're like, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, I know I haven't talked. I know. Hey, are you open to having a conversation with me? And he's like, hell no. Click, boom. Check that one off the list. It's easy. That's done. That's a done data. Became willing to make amends to them all. I was willing to do my part. He wasn't open to hearing. That's on him now. Check that one right off the list. It's going to double back around at the end of this chapter, and it's going to drive that point home again. So now we're going to talk about owing money. Most alcoholics owe money. We don't dodge our creditors. Typically, anytime you talk about amends, making amends, financial ones, that's what your sponsor's going to be like, bro, we don't dodge our creditors. Like, that's usually the go-to, because it's true. We owe it, we pay it, bottom line. And I'll tell you why, dude. Right? If I owe some money, some people, you know, them bill collectors, they'd be blowing your ass up, right? So then I see it on the phone, I'm like, oh shit, goddamn again, dude. Now negative emotions, right? I'm feeling those negative, low self-worth again, right? I'm being sneaky. My girl's like, who was that? I ain't nobody. You know what I mean? I ain't nobody, right? All that same perception that I have of myself, those same characteristics of my disease are wrapped up in one phone call, in one bill, right? That's just one of the reasons we pay our shit. Okay. Telling what we're trying to do, we make no bones about it. Bones about our drinking. They usually know it anyways, whether we think so or not. Nor are we afraid of disclosing our alcoholism on the theory it may cause financial harm. Approaching this way, the most ruthless creditors will sometimes surprise us, arranging the best deal we can. We let these people know we're sorry. Our drinking has made us slow to pay. We must lose our fear of creditors no matter how far we have to go, for we're liable to drink if we're afraid to face them. So there's a couple things there, right? The first thing is when we get to step 9, it's a continuous process. We'll be continuously cleaning up the wreckage of our past, especially the financial ones. But the good news is like all of a sudden now we're able to like hold jobs, right? We're not spending $400 a day on nothing, right? We have money, we like care about finances, we get better jobs, we get promoted, we show up, we don't take 47 bathroom breaks, we don't get 15 flat tires in 1 week at work, right? The "you're never gonna believe what happened" statement doesn't come out, you know? So we actually are able to pay these things, right? So anytime I ever work with anyone in my own experience with the financial amends part, you know, when I got sober, man, I owed a lot of money on the yard. And I'm talking like a couple racks. You know what I mean? We're not talking like, you know, we're not talking like a state pay that I'm behind on, right? we're talking about, I didn't have no money. I told you, well, property box half full of just miscellaneous paperwork, right? I was writing letters on the back of H&Rs, you know what I mean? Like that's how bad I'm fucking doing, you know? Shit was bad, bro, okay? And so now I'm back on the yard, right? And I owe all this money, dude. And I go to a meeting, I get a sponsor. My life's changed from that moment. And I told my sponsor, bro, I can't even focus, dude. I don't even want to do step work on the middle of the yard because everyone's mean mugging me, right? Like, I'm drinking a cup of coffee. They want that, you know? Shit, you gave it to me, right? They're liable to take this chew out of my mouth. You know what I mean? I can't focus. Talk about God, shit. I'm about to... God, please, you know, right? So what he said is this is what we're going to do. You're not on step 9 yet. You have no business making those amends. But what we're going to do is we're going to go talk to these people, let them know, hey, I know I owe you money. I get it. I know it. I see I'm not going anywhere. Slow money's better than no money. I ain't got no money right now, right? Just work with me. Bear with me. I'm gonna pay it, man. Just give me an opportunity. Watch how I move on this yard. I'm not going to move like I used to move on this yard. I'm moving in a different direction, right? And they're every single one of them. And I'm not talking about owing one person. I'm talking about owing about 20 people, right? So I got 20 eyeballs, well 40 eyeballs, right? So anyways, my point is so I went to each one. The most pissed off one, I started there, right? And I went to him like when I got to step 9, right? And I said, hey, look, I owe you an amends. And I brought him some money. Right? I said, here's $20. How much do I owe you? Didn't matter what he said. You got that coming, right? I make the amends. I do the process, which we'll talk about at the end. This is the bill that I could pay. I could pay this every time I get money. I'll give you this. I'll give you this. And I paid it off. I went to the next one. Here's 20 bucks. Made the amends. It took me about 1.5 years to pay off all that money, but I paid every penny of that money off on the yard, right? And that's what it's all about. So we owe money, we pay it. You bring money if you owe someone money, because how many times I made amends to my dad? Yeah, I'm gonna pay you, Dad. Don't even trip, right? I got you. You know what I mean? Writing fake checks to my own dad. You know? You don't take personal checks from me anymore, brother. He would today, dude. That's the miracle of recovery, right? But if we owe money, we pay it, dude. You owe money, call. Set up a payment plan, dude. They'll work deals out with you, bro. I'm telling you, dude. We don't dodge our creditors. Now we're gonna talk about criminal offenses. Now. I want to point out a couple different things in here, so just bear with me on the criminal offense part, because most people hear that, they're like, hell no, I ain't doing that shit. I got like 13 prior convictions, brother, and I ain't going down to the Superior Court. But if God drives me there, right, I'm going to handle it in the most healthy way, dude, and we're going to talk about that. Willing, remember, it became willing to do whatever it takes to maintain my spiritual condition. Perhaps we've committed criminal offenses which might land us in jail if we're known to the authorities. We may be short in our accounts and unable to make good. We've already admitted this in confidence to another person, but we're sure we'd be imprisoned or lose our job if it were known. Maybe it's only a petty offense, such as padding the expense account. Most of us have done that sort of thing. Maybe we're divorced, remarried, but haven't kept up alimony number 1. She is indignant about it, has a warrant out for our arrest. This is a common form of trouble too. Although these reparations take innumerable forms, there are some general principles which we find guiding, reminding ourselves that we decided to go to any lengths to find a spiritual experience. We ask that we be given strength and direction to do the right thing, no matter what the personal consequences may be. We may lose our position or reputation or face jail, but we are willing. We have to be. We must not shrink at anything. We're willing to do whatever it takes. It's going to drive it home a little bit, the point a little bit here. I'm not going to go walk into Walmart and be like, hey, what's up, asset protection? You know what it is? It's me. I jacked like 100 G's from you. Here I am, bro. I owe you an amends. These are the dates. You got the footage, right? And I'm trespassing because I'm never allowed back in everyone ever again, so I'm going to catch that misdemeanor on the back end. They'll drop that shit though, you know. Right? No, I'm not going to do those things, but I'm willing. If I go home today from work and I check the mail and there's a warrant in there, you best believe I'm going to go handle that. I'm going to go in there with my head held high, right? Being the best version of myself, and I'm going to handle it. I'm not going to run from it. That's what recovery is all about. Problem, we find the solution. We get to the solution. Problem, solution. Before recovery, it's problem, right? Problem, problem, more problem, more problem. I was out on 3 releases, caught a new case. Right? Let me just pick up an F4 just for shits and gigs. You know what I mean? I'll pick one up. Right after an overdose. Anyways, okay. All right. So we're driving home a little bit more. Usually, however, other people are involved. Therefore, we are not to be the hasty and foolish martyr who would needlessly sacrifice others to save himself from the alcoholic pit. A man we had known remarried because of resentment and drinking, not paid alimony to his first wife. She was furious. She went to court, got an order for his arrest. He commenced our way of life, secured a position, was getting his head above water. It would have been impressive heroics if he walked up to the judge and said, here I am. We thought he ought to be willing. You see how I've emphasized that word multiple times? Willing to do that if necessary. But if he were in jail, he could provide nothing for either family. So I'm not going to go up to Superior Court, right? I got 2 kids, right? That's not happening, dude. But if God, because God pulls the strings, nothing happens in God's world by mistake. It's proven to me through awareness. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I know this is His plan. I'm right here, right now, where I'm supposed to be because of Him, and my actions align with Him.
I actually got I called my mom the other day, and I actually got a letter in the mail saying that I got caught on the 15th for assault and theft that happened like almost half a year ago, right? Well, after I had talked to her about it, I'm not gonna lie, I was about to discharge and take off running because I felt like if I go into that courtroom, I got warrants out in Dallas, and they already tried to extradite me back, but the cop didn't want to do any paperwork because he was getting off for 30 minutes, so he let me go, you know what I mean? And I kept thinking like, man, like as soon as I walk in that courtroom, they're gonna take my back over there. So I was like, man, fuck this, like I'm going to run. Well, I went to the staff in here and I talked to them about it, you know what I mean? And they're like, stay here, like we got you, like we brought you a letter, like don't worry, like we're gonna be here for you. They're not gonna take it, and I was like already, so you know what I mean, I ended up staying, man.
Yeah, and so we place, that's what it's all about. We place the outcome in God's hands, man. I've seen it time and time again, dude. We always, you know, we all think we're lawyers, right? You've done enough county jail time. You're qualified. You're like, oh shit, homie, that's 2.5 player. You ain't getting out of that. Oh, damn, bro. That's a 10-piece. Shit, get comfortable. You know what I mean? Right, but that's how we do it. We can't shrink at anything, dude. We have to go. If we got to clean up the wreckage of our past, dude. It doesn't matter because that shit always catches up to you no matter what. So we handle it. We take the fellowship. We take positive actions with us. We take the best verdict. We take God with us. Right? We take those things with us and God performs miracles. 9 times out of 10, the unexpected happens. Okay, so we suggested he write his first wife admitting his faults, asking for forgiveness. He did, and also sent a small amount of money. He told her what he would try to do in the future. He said he was perfectly willing. There it is again. Well, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to maintain this connection to God. Of course, she denied the whole situation has long since been adjusted. Before taking drastic action which might implicate other people, we secure their consent. If we've obtained permission, consult with others, ask God to help, and the drastic action is indicated, we must not shrink. This brings to mind a story about one of our friends. While drinking, he accepted a sum of money from a bitterly hated business rival. Giving him no receipt for it, he subsequently denied having received the money, used the incident as a basis of discrediting the man. He thus used his own wrongdoing as the means of destroying the reputation of another. In fact, his rival was ruined. He felt that he had done a wrong he could not possibly make right. If he opened that old affair, he was afraid it would destroy his reputation. of his partner, disgrace his family, take away the means of his livelihood. What right had he to involve those dependent upon him? How could he possibly make a public statement exonerating his rival? After consulting with his wife and partner, he came to the conclusion it was better to take those risks than to stand before his creator guilty of such ruinous slander. Here's the most important part. He saw that he had to place the outcome in God's hands, or he'd soon start drinking again and all would be lost anyhow. That's the whole point, right? When we make that decision in step 3, I'm making a decision to do my part. It's a 50-50 relationship. My 50% is the action steps daily. Those action steps are to live in spiritual principles, do the next right thing, live with integrity and honesty and understanding and love and tolerance and forgiveness. And the other 50% of that decision is God's part. That's the outcomes in my life. And if I look back on every single outcome in my life since I made that decision and done my part, they've all worked out. Maybe not right when I want them because I'm not God. But my life today, every single thing that I possibly could have wanted when I was sitting there day one and that over there, with that property box, borrowing some socks from Josh S., right? Shout out. And gave me some socks, brother. Yeah, that happened. Hey, brother, let me get a pair of socks, brother. You know what I mean? I got Circle K feet on the yard, bro. There ain't even no Circle K. You know what I mean? Everything is worked out. I place the outcome in God's hands. If I take off and you bounce on that court case, dude, you're getting high anyways. You're going to catch another case, brother. If you're anything like me, right? We've got a master plan, right? This is what's going to happen. I'm going to hit this lick. One last one. That's it. I'm going to triple it up, to double up, and get that job and then work boots and get that apartment, brother. Everything's going to be good. Right? Get a real lawyer, right? He'll save me. God's a real lawyer. He'll save you. All right, so now we're going to talk about issues with the family, with your girl, the significant other. The chances are we have domestic troubles. I skipped a little part of it, but that's okay. Perhaps we mixed up with women in a fashion we wouldn't care to have advertised. We doubt in this respect alcoholics are fundamentally much worse than other people, but drinking does complicate sexual relations in the home. After a few years with an alcoholic, a wife gets worn out, resentful, uncommunicative. How could she be anything else? The husband begins to feel lonely, sorry for himself. He commences to look around the nightclubs or their equivalent for something besides liquor. Perhaps he's having a secret and exciting affair with a girl who understands. In fairness, we say she may understand, but what are we going to do about a thing like that? A man so involved often feels remorseful at times, especially if he's married to a loyal and courageous girl who's literally gone through hell for him. Whatever the situation, we usually have to do something about it. If we're sure our wife does not know, should we tell her? Not always, we think. Listen, dude. Listen, dude. I'm going a little over on time today, dude. But let me tell you a little something about this, dude, right? So I was in the hole, dude, again, right? And before I started working the program, dude, and so naturally I got to work at 9 when I see my girl, dude, right? And first off, this is a funny story, right? So first off, she drives all the way out to see me, right? Hours, right? She comes to see me. Of course, everybody silly thinks he can cut hair, right? Yeah, homie, shoot the clippers, bro. I cut, right? I'm like, all right, no mirror in there, dude. I don't even know what I look like, dude. I go out to wreck for the first time ever, right? And I catch myself in the reflection from the little window on the door. Dude, I look like Chuck Liddell. This dude gave me a super high and tight, right? Dude, I'm like, holy shit, right? Shoot the clippers again. I shaved my head. First off, I got a long ass head, dude, right? Not a shaved head type dude. I had a beard. I looked like a Guantanamo Bay refugee, right? But I tell my girls, like, you better be honest with me when I come. And I'm like, shit, all right, I'm going to do this shit. First off, she looked at me. She's like, God damn. My first thought was maybe she put some money in my books so I look real hungry and bad, right? You know? I need that Fetty Wap on the books, you know? Right? Nah, dude, so she sits down, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. She's like, all right, you better tell me the truth. And I'm like, I've been doing the most. Boom, immediately, dude, she freaked out, dude. I didn't even speak all the words, you know what I mean? I threw the car in reverse. I was like, I've been gambling and smoking spice. That's it, baby. You know what I mean? Right? Now today, because there's almost like statute of limitations with amends, right? Like I haven't done some shit in a very long time, baby. Let me tell you what else happened. My wife knows everything. She's heard me speak a million times, right? And that's a beautiful thing of recovery, dude. But we don't want to disclose anything to them that's going to harm them, right? If they know, and we're going to talk about that at the end with the 5-step amends process, the way to make an effective amends without causing more harm and not using specificness to hurt people. We can't use honesty in step 9 as a weapon, dude. We don't want to cause more harm to anyone, dude. But I'll never forget that moment. I was like, oh shit, let me back this thing up real quick, dude. All right. If she knows in a general way we've been wild, should we tell her in detail? Undoubtedly, we should admit our fault. She may insist on knowing all the particulars. She'll want to know who the woman is, and specifically with this just example talking about cheating, right? She'll want to know who the woman is and where she is. We feel we ought to say to her we have no right to involve another person. We're sorry for what we've done. God willing, it should not be repeated. More than we cannot do, we have no right to go further. Though there may be justifiable exceptions and we wish to lay down no rule of any sort, we have often found this the best course to take. No one can tell you how to make amends to your girl or your mom or your dad, right? No one can tell you how to do that, dude. That's what you and your sponsor are going to do. You're going to sit down, you're going to look at every single one of them, figure out the most effective way and not to cause any more harm in doing it, dude. Sometimes if you got to make an amends, you might have to bring your sponsor with you, dude. You might have to bring the whole damn fellowship with you if you got to go to baby moms, right? You might bring the whole crew, just in case. You might be making an amends at the courthouse later too, you know what I mean? We don't want to do that, right? Okay, so our design for living is not a one-way street. It's as good for the wife as it is for the husband. If we can forget, so can she. It's better, however, that one does not needlessly name a person with whom she can vent jealously. Perhaps there are some cases where the utmost frankness is demanded. No outsider can appraise such an intimate situation. That's just what I was talking about. It may be that both will decide the way of good sense and loving kindness and let bygones be bygones. Each might pray about it, having the other one's happiness upmost in mind. Keeping it always in sight that we're dealing with the most terrible human emotion, jealousy. Good generalship may decide that the problem be attacked on the flank rather than risk face-to-face combat. I don't know about some of your girls, dude, but I don't want face-to-face combat with my girl. She'll make me sleep on the couch for a week, brother. You know what I mean? I'll be eating ramen again. You know what I mean? I don't like that shit. You know? I don't want no face-to-face combat. Okay. So now we're gonna talk about the family, right? Because we got some work to do there too. If we have no such complications, there's plenty we should do at home. Sometimes we hear an alcoholic say the only thing he needs to do is keep sober. Certainly he must keep sober. There'll be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife or parents for whom years he's so shockingly treated. Passing all the understanding is the patience mothers and wives have had with alcoholics. Had this not been so, many of us would have no homes today and would perhaps be dead. The alcoholic is like a tornado, roaring his way through the lives of others. Hearts are broken, sweet relationships are dead, affections have been uprooted. The selfish, inconsiderate habits have kept the home in turmoil. We feel a man is unthinking when he says sobriety is enough. Dude, I remember I called my dad, like, hey, what's up, Dad? You know what it is? I'm just over here, just saving lives on the yard, just spiritual experiences and shit. You know, I got like 250 days sober. Daddy's like, and? Shit, what, I'm supposed to be happy you're sober now in prison? Like, good for you, dude. Like, oh shit, all right. We're supposed to be sober, just to let you guys know. Like, that's usually like, that's like what men do, you know? We get sober and like take care of shit, and like, you know? I just figured it out too recently, you know what I mean? I'm not any better than anyone, dude. It took me a long time, bro. I'm gonna be 40 next month, so all right. But that's just the bare minimum, man. Right? We should be sober, dude. It's the actions to follow, right? I can't just show up at a barbecue getting out of treatment and fucking like, what's up? Yeah, you know, yeah, I like my steak medium. Yeah. Yeah, Mom, meatloaf. You know what I mean? It don't work that way, dude, right? We gotta own it. We gotta make that amends. We gotta be disciplined. We gotta handle it. We gotta have the tough conversations. We have to do those things because we're a long way from making good. And I have some parents that have been riding with me for a very long time, dude. They got all of that coming. Same with my wife. She wrote out an 8-year prison sentence with me, tougher than hell. She got all of that coming, dude. Right? And my actions every single day is a living amends to her, and I treat her the way, and a living amends to about 20 other chicks from over the years, right? Yeah. Hey, babe, what are you doing today? Hey, yeah, I'm gonna go meet up with about 6 strippers and about 10 other chicks today. I owe amends. I'm on step 9. Are you nuts? Right? Nah, it don't work that way. way. I just treat my wife the way I should have treated every woman that ever came into my life, and that's how I make those things right. If I happen to run into them, then I'll make that amends too. Okay. As a side note, dude, my girl's gonna watch this and be like, this one. I tell directions by strip clubs too. She loves that. I'm like, oh yeah, shit. Oh, by Bourbon Street, Thomas, 28th Street. Yeah, I know where that's at. Oh, Cheetahs. Oh, right across from the VA. I know where it's at.
Landmark.
Yeah. Oh, the candy store. Cave Creek and Union Hills. I know how to get there. She hates it. I'm getting off track now, dude. All right. This is serious though. This is serious stuff though. All right, he's like the farmer who came out of his cyclone cellar to find his home. I shouldn't have drank that Red Bull on the way over here. To his wife, remarked, "Don't see anything the matter here, Mine and Grand. The wind stopped blowing? Yes, there is a long period of reconstruction ahead. We must take the lead. A remorseful mumbling that we're sorry won't fit the bill at all. We ought to sit down with our family and frankly analyze the passes we now see, and being very careful not to criticize them. Their defects may be glaring, but the chances are our own actions are partially responsible." So we clean house with the family, asking in each morning meditation our Creator show us the way of patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. The spiritual life is not a theory, we have to live it. Unless one's family expresses desire to live upon spiritual principles, we think we need not urge them. We should not talk incessantly then about spiritual matters. They will change in time. Here's the most important part. Our behavior will convince them more than our words. Because remember, 20 years of drunkenness will make a skeptic out of anyone. They're hopeful, dude. Our actions will speak louder than any words we'll ever say. There may be some wrongs we can't fully right. We don't worry about it if we can honestly say to ourselves we'd right it if we could. Some people cannot be seen. We send an honest letter. There may be valid reason for postponement in some cases, but we don't delay if it could be avoided. We should be sensible, tactful, considerate, and humble without being servile or scraping. Pay attention. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. I'm not going to people I owe amends and begging for forgiveness and bowing down. No, I'm going to own my shit with my head held high and not repeat the behavior and continue to let God demonstrate through me what He can do. Right? That's what I'm here to do. I'm starting to create momentum for the future, right? When I make amends to my family, dude, this is just starting, right? Watch my feet, not my lips, right? I told you I'm a salesman, dude, telemarketer, bro. They don't want to hear no shit. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear this shit, you know? So watch my actions, dude, and it all comes back with a consistency, right? So the amends is just that starting point. The next part, it would be referred to as the 9-step promises. We read them all the time. You guys have heard them a bunch of times. For the sake of, we'll start next week, step 10. I'll go over the promises. For the sake of time, I really want to get into the 5-step amends process that makes it different than all the other times, and then we'll close with that. So this is the 5-step amends process that we use. So if someone wants to write them down and you guys want to write them down, that's completely up to you. But this is the first step. I'm going to give you all 5 steps, and I'm going to explain it to you. So the first step is gaining consent, right? Step 1, gain consent. Hey, are you open to hearing amends from me? It's a very important part of my recovery, man. I'd like to meet up with you. Do you have a minute so we can talk? I got some things that I need to talk to you about. Won't get over my drinking if I don't. It's important to me. Are you open to hearing it, right? Gain consent. 2, I was wrong when I, ... Underneath that, put specifics or defects or both. I was wrong when I ... right? Right? Specifics or defects or both. Okay. So now this is where we're going to talk about how to make an amends without causing more harm, right? So the specificness of it. So am I going to be specific, right? Or am I going to use defects, just like we talked about with my girl? She doesn't need to know the specifics of it, so I'm going to use defects. I was wrong when I lied and stole from you and abandoned you and my daughter and continued to lie to you while I was in prison for money all the time. I was a horrible husband, right? I was a horrible friend to you. I was a horrible partner to you. I manipulated you so many chances. You were there for me and I wasn't there for you, right? And you didn't deserve to be treated that way, right? That's the defects part of it. Specifics, I needed specifics with my parents. They don't want to hear that shit. They've been knowing that for a long time. You're a horrible son? No shit. Right? You think? Right? So I had to be specific with them. Shit, Dad, every time you looked in your wallet, dude, when you thought there was money missing, yeah, there was, and I took it. That was all on me. Right? So we're talking about specifics of some things. You know? My brother, the guitar, yep, that was me. Right? I had to be specific with them. That's what makes it different with them. And then the both part was sometimes we'll use a combination of defects and some specificness. But remember, we don't want to cause more harm. So you're going to sit down with your sponsor, you're going to talk about the healthiest way to do it, if you're going to use a combination of those things, and then you'll figure out if it's going to be direct, indirect, or a living amends, right? So you'll go through all that with your sponsor. So that's number 2. I was wrong when I, and specifics or defects or both. The third part is there any other ways I've harmed you that I'm unaware of? And then you write underneath that parentheses, you shut the fuck up and listen. You don't say anything until they say something, right? Give them a chance for once. Talk about how they feel. You know, yeah, there is some way you've harmed me. When you were gone for 8 years and your daughter would cry for you every single night for her dad and you weren't there, yeah, that hurt me, right? Oh shit. I completely understand. You didn't deserve to be treated that way, right? So give them an opportunity to speak. Number 4, is there any other ways that I've harmed you that I'm unaware of? Okay, that was number 3. How could I make it right? Number 4. How could I make it right? I'm willing to do whatever it takes. How could I correct it? How could I make this right? How could I amend it? Amend is to fix something, right? How could I fix it? What can I do? If we owe financial amends, we pay them, right? Most people in your life are going to be like, dude, just fucking stay sober, please. I don't want to bring no more cigarettes at any one of the crossroads, right? Shit, your mom probably tells directions by crossroads landmarks. Oh, over there by Flower? I know where that's at, 16th Street.
Oh, Midtown?
Right? Oh, yeah, Midtown, 13th Ave. I know how to get there. Yeah, okay, it's over by Midtown. Oh, all right, Arcadia, Thomas. Oh, right by the church. Okay, I know where that church is at. Right, so, and then the number 5 is the action steps to follow, which would be like the close of it, right? So as long as I continue to maintain my identity today, continue my actions in a positive way, I'll never harm you or offend anyone in this way again. As long as I continue to maintain this connection to God, I won't ever harm you again. As long as I continue to be a part of in this fellowship and take action, have service commitments, and work with my sponsor, I'll never harm you again. As long as I continue to be loving and channel my power, you know what I mean? So we're just kind of closing it up. So it goes 1, gain consent, you open to hear an amends. 2, I was wrong when I, specifics or defects. Is there any other ways that I've harmed you I'm unaware of? And you listen. 4, how can I make it right? And 5, you know, Mom, I know that this isn't going to make it better. But what I'm hoping is this is just going to create some momentum for the future. And as long as you continue to see my actions, I think we could have an amazing relationship going further. And I could show you the love, not by words, but by actions today. Right? Hug it up, right? So that's do you hear a sorry in there anywhere?
No.
Right? Not. Right? We're owning it, right? We're listening, we're correcting it, and then we're not going to repeat the same behavior again. That's what makes it different. And that is the 5-step amends process for you guys. So gain consent, I was wrong when is there any other ways that I've harmed you I'm unaware of? Please let me know. Shut up and listen. How could I make it right? And then close it up with, you know, some action that's going to follow.